So I'm here with Cory, who of course has just won for God of War for narrative. I mean, that is a big category to walk away with. You must be kind of pleased.
Yeah, it's very exciting. There was such amazing competition this year in all the categories, and narrative especially, such heavy hitters with amazing games that I am very surprised. Very proud, but very surprised.
I mean, like, one of the big things, obviously, coming into a franchise like God of War, which is quite... It's quite heavy in its sort of approach to things, and obviously, you know, keeping that sense of weight to kind of like the story, but then also weaving in these incredibly subtle, emotional, like having to kind of switch between those two. I mean, that must be, I don't know how you'd begin to start that journey in your head and get that kind of ebb and flow of pace of story. Like, what do you do? Do you stick Post-it notes everywhere? Do you have like a serial killer, like apartment thing, you know, with bits of string?
Yeah, I actually worked with note cards. When I finally was able to work with the writers and we cracked the story that it ended up being, it started as a stack of about 180 note cards.
Really?
Where I was just trying to map out sort of the key beats. But it all kind of began with this idea of giving Kratos a second chance to be a dad, right? And for me, it was my first sort of foray into being a dad, and sort of thinking back to my father and sort of our experiences together, and then me realizing, like, what kind of dad do I want to be?
I think that entryway is the brilliant thing because, I mean, obviously the God of War series has always been about these big personalities and, you know, superhuman beings and gods, literally. But the thing that's brilliant about this God of War is that it boils it all down and it pinpoints that humanity in Kratos and everyone around him. And I think the gateway to that is the fatherhood theme.
Yeah, and that was that core beginning. I had worked with a bunch of really great directors over the last 10 or 15 years who were giving me advice nonstop, and I was soaking up every bit I can. And sort of the consistent piece of advice that was coming from everybody was this idea of finding your own personal way into a story. And I think when I was first starting out, I was just thinking of the bigger picture and what can we do, the crazy things we can do, but really boiling it down to what do I feel? What am I going to feel? What are other people going to feel? And I mean, for me, this is one of the most personal stories that I've ever told. Like, I can't make it through the whole game without weeping.
No, I was just saying, I've cried a lot this year with a video game.
I know, right? It's beautiful.
The great thing about it is that so many of the most memorable moments, I think, in the game are non-verbal. Like, I mean, there's just so many great, like, moments there, like the bit where Kratos puts his hand out and he can't do it, and I mean, like, it just gets you every time.
Yeah, it is incredible. And also, what I thought was quite spectacular about it with the writing was the fact that, you know, after coming, you know, from this like big franchise and being able to kind of still have him at his core, you didn't like completely change the character. He's still struggling. He's in this like amazing moment of flux where everything's changing, and but what was also in addition to that was also it kind of really felt like, in terms of what's happening in society, it kind of hit on this moment where we were all in this kind of period of flux, which is, I mean, you know, games take quite a long time to make. I mean, was it always the sort of plan to kind of, I don't know, it just sort of hit on a real moment as well?
It was kind of a weird, magical confluence, you know, that at the time, it was something that I was thinking about, the way that we had built the franchise initially, how I was going to be as a human being, right, and how this other character was going to evolve. And so much of it is this parallel of game development as well, that game development is just a series of failures, right, that all we're doing is just failing and falling down for years and then finding occasional moments of, wow, that was amazing. And you know, that was the interesting part about Kratos, is that he's not an expert at this. He's failing constantly, but those are the things you're rooting for. You're rooting not for the hero to succeed. You're rooting for them to get back up when they fail.
That's such a good way of putting it.
Very much so. Well, I feel like we need to get you back down to your seat, because who knows, there could be some more awards for you tonight.
Oh, good. I need to start preparing
10 nominations. I mean, goodness me.
Congratulations, Cory. And we'll talk to you a bit later, I guess.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.